guest Tony Darosa, who's an independent filmmaker who lives in Hyde Park and works in Cambridge. Thank you for being my guest today, Tony.
Well, thank you for having me, Sharon.
And I found out about Tony's work through an ad that was at CCTV, and it was for a horror movie. And I thought, what a fun thing, you know? And I was curious about it and looked at the script. And what made you want to make a horror movie?
Well, I've been into independent filmmaking for a while, and I really like all different genres, but it seemed to me like for my first short film, which this is, that a horror film would be the easiest to make. So I just decided to do horror, but I do plan on doing different genres, you know, action, comedy, drama, but it just so happens that I just chose horror for this one because I thought it would be the easiest type of low-budget film to make.
And where do you get the actors from who are in the film?
Well, I did put up a flyer. I went around to public access televisions in Boston and Cambridge and put up a flyer. But most of the actors for this short film are actually co-workers of mine. I was at work one day and I found out through talking to a coworker that he was interested in film as well. So I said, well, why don't we collab on a project and put together a short movie? And so we asked other coworkers too, and they said, you know, it would be fun, and they wanted to do it. So we ended up putting together. I wrote the script, and we ended up putting together this short film. And most of the actors from work.
That's amazing to me. You just think about it, your workplace, and you just ask your coworkers, do you want to be in a horror movie with me? I think that's great. And were certain people more inclined to be in were the gory scenes, or do they want to be in the really action-packed scenes, or some wanted to be just regular people in the movie?
Yeah, there's a little bit of gore. It's not real gory, but it seems like that most of the people that I asked, they really wanted to be involved in the gory scenes, because when you think of a horror movie, you really think of the gory scenes as the main scenes in the movie. So I think they were really willing to do the gory scenes just for fun, it seemed like.
And once the ketchup was out, how did they feel about it after that?
They weren't too pleased with it. One of my coworkers is also doing the special effects, and he mixed up a batch of ketchup, and I think it was strawberry syrup. But he had it in his bag for a couple of weeks before we actually got to the first gory scene. So it tasted really awful, and it made a mess of the clothes. So they wanted to do it, but once we did it, working with that, it wasn't too pleasant for them, I'm sure.
But they stuck through it. They did what had to be done.
Yes.
And one thing you talked about that fascinated me was you collaborate in your filmmaking style. You don't know always the environment it's going to be shot in, and you get the actors together to reach consensus. Could you talk about that?
Yeah, I guess you would call it guerrilla filmmaking. What we do is I write a script, and we have a basic outline of how the movie is going to go, but as far as the exact specifics, we really kind of work them out once we get on set, once we get to a location, and then we kind of throw things back and forth at each other until we come to a consensus of how the scene will work best, and that's how we shoot it. So it really lets the actors get involved in how the movie's going to play out. And working with a low-budget film, I think that's sort of the best way to do it. I know a lot of big-budget films, too, they allow the actors to improvise. Sometimes the improvisation works better than what you have planned out. So.
Right, because everybody can actually get to see it instead of just think of the idea of it, get to see it in action.
Right.
And that must be very satisfying for the actors to be really a part of creating it in that way.
Yeah, one thing I noticed that when I asked the actors to be involved with the project, they really were kind of quiet about it, even though they wanted to do it. But once we got on set and they realized that the camera was going to start rolling, they really wanted to get involved, and they really wanted to add some input, and it was good. I think it's a good way to do independent filmmaking, to get the input.
And who does the editing?
I have a Mac computer, so I do all of the editing myself. I have iMovie, and I use GarageBand for the sound. So I'm really kind of playing with that. This is kind of like the first really independent short film that I've made, so I'm trying to learn it as I go along. But so far, it seems that the iMovie software is pretty basic, but it can get the job done for an independent film.
And the music that you get, is it free on the internet, or do you have to?
Well, what I do is I have, like I said, I have a Mac computer, and they have a GarageBand software where you can actually make your own music. You can make your own beats. They have like a keyboard and they have a whole bunch of instruments that you can layer all together to actually make your own music.
And so you've created some of the music yourself?
Yes, with the software. It's just pretty much basic stuff. I mean, you have a keyboard and you have like the scary sound, dun dun dun. You know, it's nothing too complicated, but it'll work for this short film, I think.
Right. And when you were growing up, did you have an interest in acting or take acting lessons? How did you arrive at the point where you wanted to be a filmmaker and actually did it?
I suppose I've always wanted to be a filmmaker. I guess my biggest influence would probably be when I was a kid. I used to watch Alfred Hitchcock used to have a television show out, and the television show was very different from all of the other television shows. And Alfred Hitchcock had a way of putting camera angles in weird places that really, it kind of stimulated me, and it kind of made me want to be a filmmaker. I don't think I really pursued it too much like I am now, but that would probably be my biggest inspiration as far as wanting to become a filmmaker.
And what a role model, Alfred Hitchcock. Can't get better than that. And what happened to make you actually take action on creating the film? A lot of people say, oh, I want to do this and I want to do that. But to me, to see somebody just go out there and do it, that is inspiring, because what did certain factors in your life come together and make it possible for you to do this now?
Well, I think it was just time. I always thought before that if you want to do something, then you can pursue like getting a job doing it. But as far as being a filmmaker, it's very difficult to just go out there and get a job as a filmmaker. So I think for a long time, I was stuck with the attitude that I was waiting for the phone call. Hey, we got this job for you. But after a while, you realize that phone call is never coming, and you realize that the only way to make something happen is you have to go out there and do it yourself. So I guess one day I just had an epiphany that if this is going to happen, I have to make it happen for myself. So I just decided to get my camera, write the script, find some volunteers to act in it, and just to start making movies.
Yep. And you didn't move out to Hollywood? You stayed here in this area?
No, yeah. Boston seems kind of a tough place to be in the entertainment business. I consider filmmaking to be entertainment, but it seems like everything is made in California or New York, and it doesn't seem to be a lot in Boston. So I've actually thought about leaving Boston for that reason, but because I'm grounded and rooted in Boston with my family and everything, it's kind of hard for me to leave Boston. Yeah, I'd rather try to do it here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And what kind of props did you have in this movie?
Well, we didn't have too many props. I guess the only prop that we had was the ketchup and the syrup. We really didn't have too many props. So this is a really low budget,
down to basics
horror film. So we didn't use a lot of props.
Right. And what other kinds of movies are you thinking of making in addition to the horror movie?
Well, I'm working right now on writing a few short scripts, maybe a comedy, maybe an action movie, maybe even doing something science fiction and fantasy type. So I have a lot of different ideas for short stories that I want to turn into short films. Horror is probably I think is the easiest to make. So probably a few more horrors too as well.
Now, do you act in the movie yourself?
Yeah, actually, in this particular short film, which is called Attack of the Zombie, I play the zombie.
Okay.
And that wasn't really by choice. I prefer to direct the movies, but what happened was the actor that I had scheduled to play the zombie didn't show up on set. So rather than waste a day, I decided to play the zombie myself, and then I got stuck in the role. So it's kind of difficult to make a short film and act in it too, but I actually play one of the main characters, which is the killer of the movie, which is a zombie.
Okay. And it sounds like you're very flexible, that's really a prerequisite in the world of this kind of filmmaking, to be very flexible. Whatever happens, you go with it and you make it happen anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not just doing it, but it's a process of learning as you go along. So being flexible is important because you can learn from other people and other people can learn from you. And being flexible allows you to try different things and to see what works best. So yeah, definitely I would consider myself to be flexible in making this film.
And have you had to reshoot any of the scenes a lot, or it's pretty much, have you gotten any on the first take?
Pretty much what we do is we have a couple of takes, but once I get into the editing room, then I'm going to choose which take out of the takes that we have is going to be the best. I'm not really worried about making it perfect or how specific it is. I'm really focused on just completing my first film. So whatever footage we have, I'm going to try to figure out which works best and then just put that in the movie.
Right. So it's kind of like an education for you and for all the actors in it.
Yes, yes. I would consider it more, this first movie is just for learning. It's just like a tool that we're going through the process just to learn. So I don't think anybody has too high expectations for this film.
So, but are they willing to go into your next film? Were they willing to do different types of films after this one? Has anyone expressed interest in continuing?
Well, I hope so. I hope so. Once the movie is finished and shown, then I'm hoping that they'll want to do more, because I'll definitely be looking for volunteers and actors to be in my upcoming short films.
So how do people get in touch with you if they're interested in future films that you're doing?
Well, right now I'm working on completing this one, but if they want to jot down my phone number, they can call me.
Okay, we have 617-413-5928.
Yeah, that's my cell number. I don't have email right now. I'm still working on a computer thing, but they can just call and leave a message if they want to volunteer to act in one of my short films. I'll definitely get back in touch with them. It's independent filmmaking. There's no budget, so nobody's getting paid. Everybody's learning. Everybody's volunteering. So, but it's fun. It could be fun if it's something you're interested in.
And how do you begin writing a script? You know, I think a lot of people talk about someday I want to write a book or a script, and how do you put pen to paper, and what causes you to sit down that first day and start writing?
Yeah, I think the process for everyone is different, but what I do is I usually get an idea. I can be walking down the street and I can just get an idea. And what I usually do is I write down that idea, and then I get the index cards.
Okay.
And then for example, this short film has 10 scenes in it. So if I'm writing this, what I'll do is I'll have 10 index cards. And then from that one idea, I'll try to create 10 scenes based on that one idea. And I kind of use like sort of a pyramid structure. I start from one thing, and then I get more and more in detail, more and more in detail. But usually it's just an idea will pop into my head, and then from that idea, I'll get index cards, and I'll just write down a bunch of different scenes. And then once I get 10 scenes together, then I'll go into creating the characters and creating the details for those scenes and what the characters are going to say. But It's pretty much just off the top of my head. I just make up stuff.
And, and is it more the first thing that occurs to you, the visuals of what the different characters look like, or the actions of the characters as you're composing the scenes?
What I really try to do is visually I try to think of the whole movie, like try to think of all of the visuals at once. But as far as the actors are concerned, I'm not really too concerned with the look of the actors, but more the feel of what the movie should be like. So usually when I'm thinking of a movie, I usually visualize the places.
Okay.
And then I try to fit everything into that place. And I know that it seems like from the books that I've read, most directors focus a lot on the actors and the actors' looks, but it's not something I consciously think about, really.
And have any of the roles kind of been modified due to the personalities of the people in them? Do you change them a little bit, or?
Not really. I mean, what I do once I write a script, I have the basic outline for what is going to happen, and then once I get the actor, like I said, we'll kind of play off of each other, and then I'll just say, well, as long as you stick to the basic outline of what the story is, you can play it however you want to play it. So each actor brings their own presence to the role, and I'm really flexible with that. So.
And have there been any funny moments in filming this? Times when you don't know what to do in a certain scene, or?
Yeah, there has been some funny moments. To give you an example, one of the gore scenes, one of the horror scenes where the zombie attacks one of the actors who plays a victim in the movie, didn't want to scream for some reason. And we couldn't get her to scream, and she kept laughing. I don't know why, but sometimes you never know, once that camera is turned on, how people are going to respond.
Right.
Sometimes it could be stressful for some people, and they sort of, as a defense mechanism for the stress, they kind of get giggly.
Okay.
Other people, just the opposite happens. They get really tense and really serious.
Quiet, yeah.
So you never really know what's going to happen, but I try to just, whatever we can flow with, and that's usually what I go with. I'm not really specific, with the actors. They can play it however they want.
Yeah, and some people would scream too much, and it would be overbearing, right?
That's true. That's true.
What kind of camera do you use to shoot it?
Basically, I have my camera here.
Okay.
I just use a regular consumer model camcorder. This one happens to be just a Panasonic, just a basic, nothing high tech. Yeah, so that's a camera I use.
Okay. And is there anything else you want to talk about in relation to movie writing or this particular movie?
Well, we could talk a little bit about the script. Basically, this particular script is what I try to do when I write a script. I decide how long it's going to be, and so what I try to do is I try to make each scene about a minute long, and each minute will take up about a page of script. So if it's a 10-minute short film, which this is, it will be 10 scenes and it will be 10 pages. I've seen some other independent filmmakers who actually write their own scripts, and it seems to me like they're much too wordy.
Okay.
They're much too wordy. Like they write a script like they're writing a book.
Okay.
But a script is really meant to be seen, really not heard. So I try to keep it very tight as far as the words and what the actors are saying, so that if you read the script, it's not very wordy, but you have to visualize it as you're reading it, as if someone was saying it. And that just is my technique. That's what I use. I'm actually working on a couple of other scripts that are a little bit longer, but my plans are to do a feature film. But before I can do a feature film, which would consume a lot of time, I want to hone my skills by working on a bunch of short, 10-minute short films. The logistics of putting together this 10-minute short film is just crazy. I just didn't believe that there would be so much involved. Not only coordinating the actors, but worried about the lighting and the sound. A lot of times I'll use real locations, but you never know what the sound is going to be until you get there. It's run into a lot of problems. Probably the biggest problem that we had in making this short film was actually scheduling the actors.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, a lot of the people who I used in this movie were from my job, but everybody's on a different schedule. So a lot of things that I didn't think about ahead of time, I'm now realizing for the next project that scheduling is a big problem. Sometimes it's those little things that can turn out to be the big annoyances.
And how many hours worth of work does a 10-minute movie represent?
Oh wow, we've been working on this movie for 3 months now, and it's still not finished. We still have one more scene to shoot, and then after that scene, hopefully we'll shoot next week. Then I'm gonna start the editing process. It'll probably take me about 2 weeks to edit the movie. So we've got another couple of weeks before the film is finished, and we've already been working on it for 3 months.
Right. And
So it's a lot involved. I don't know why it's taking so much time. I think it's because of the scheduling. If we had a better schedule, then it probably wouldn't have taken as long. But because we had to work around the scheduling, it's kind of dragging out, and it's taking a long time. But most of the scenes for the movie, like I say, are only going to be 1 minute long. But the actual filming, like the takes that we had to do, the rehearsals, probably about 2 hours for each of those one minute. Yeah.
and then adding the music, adding all the different editing
Yeah, the
elements.
editing.
Yes.
Yeah, the editing is gonna. It shouldn't take as long, because I pretty much have it worked out. Once I shoot the scene, I can look at the footage and pretty much work it out what music I'm going to add to it and how I'm going to put it together. So the editing won't take that long, but because of the scheduling, the shooting took a long time. Yeah.
And how long did it take you just to write the script itself?
Actually, it took me a lot longer to type up the script because I'm not really good
Okay.
with the computer as far as formatting the computer to type it up. It took me a lot longer to do that than it actually took me to write the script. Like I said, basically, I had an idea one day. I wrote that idea down. It took me about maybe a week and a half to put the scenes on the index cards. And then I spent about 2 days, once I had the scenes on the index cards, writing up the characters and writing up the dialogue. So it didn't take me but 2 weeks to actually write the script. But to get it like this,
Right.
to type it up and put it in the computer, it probably took me about 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Because I'm not very good with formatting and typing in the computer, so I would get frustrated and I have to put it down and come back a few days later, because it's if you're not good with formatting in the computer, this could take forever.
But you've been willing to learn every step of the process. Whatever you come to that needs learning and mastering, you have been willing to put the time in to make it happen.
Yeah, because it's
Yeah.
it's something I want to do. So because it's something I want to do, I know that I have to pursue it. And I know that in the beginning, I'm not going to know anything, but as you do anything, the more you do it, the more you learn, the better you get at it. So hopefully this process will eventually lead to me making a feature film, which I can sell on DVD. But right now, I'm kind of still in the learning stage, and the best thing for me to do is just to get out there and do it myself, and write my short scripts, and then take my camera and film my short films.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what does your family think about you creating a horror movie?
I don't think my family is too in tune to it. I think that, I guess with most artists, you know, the family is kind of like not really in tune to being an artist. I get a lot from my family, you know, why don't you get a real job? You know,
You
I
have
mean-
a real job beside that.
Right, but that's kind of like the attitude that
Yeah.
they have
Okay.
as far as being an artist and being a filmmaker. I think that it's nice to have the support, but you have to realize too that most of the time you're not going to have that support. You have to really give yourself the support and push yourself forward,
Yes.
even though the other people around you are saying, I don't think that's going to work, or I don't know if you should be doing that. You really got to put yourself out there and try to do it yourself.
Yes.
Yeah, my family's okay with it, but they're not really, I wouldn't call them film fans. No.
Okay. So what I'm getting from you is that if you have an idea, if you have a dream, if you have a goal, you have to go for it. You have to make it happen, to learn
Yes.
what needs to be learned, to educate yourself and assemble whatever helpers you have, whether they be the actors or somebody who has a specialty that maybe they can teach you, whatever, and put all those ingredients together and just do it. Just take the first step.
Yes, you really have to be your own encourager. I think that a lot of people sometimes they face the obstacles and they get discouraged. But
Yeah.
what you have to understand is that whenever you're doing something, especially if you're doing it for the first time, there's always going to be obstacles. You have to push through those obstacles and not get discouraged. And if it's something you really want to do or you want to make your mark at,
Yes.
you have to follow through and find the inspiration within yourself to keep going and just to do it and just to get it done.
Well, thank you so much, Tony, for providing the inspiration to everybody who has a dream out there and wants to get going. This is one example of